Gnomes and Wizards Kickstarter board game preview from Cavan Wire Games. Gnomes and Wizards is a funny beast, a skirmish game where tribes of fools and idiots in pointy hats face off against each other with asymmetrical powers, fighting for shares of power crystals and trying to wipe out each other's tribes over 10 rounds in order to score as many points as possible. It's a game about adding on to basic traits and movement using dice rolls and skill cards. It's a game about flipping over triangular tiles in order to create a sense of urgency. It's very much a game about gathering crystals and charging up your team in the hope of gaining the upper hand when you face each other across the battlefield. At the beginning, you'll start off with your leader, and them alone as long as you roll your dice to help you move about the modular triangular board. Your dice decide your actions and in many ways enhance them. They'll also allow you to summon in additional clans that will bring their very own special skills and you can take advantage of. Combat itself is relatively straightforward, working on a simple defense-attack maths calculation, but unlike some skirmish games, a successful defense only deflects half of the damage received. So you're minimizing the pain instead of mitigating it. It prompts a reason to attack even if you feel that you don't have the backing of a strong dice roll, as you'll always be chipping away at your opponent's life force. Even if you don't roll 3 horns to allow you to call in an ally, you can instead elect to choose a skill card, which will either allow you to charge up a skill to let loose when you have enough crystals, or play it as one-off hidden ability that can often get you out of a sticky situation. It's one of the clever touches I appreciated, that you never feel completely stuck if the dice rolls don't go your way, which is important in a game that's not designed to overstay its welcome. As the rounds continue, the play arena itself will shrink in size as tiles are flipped to their blank side, which prevents you from stopping on them, but more importantly, no longer allows you to summon the clan the symbol on the tile relates to. It leads to delicious moments of panic in the late game as opponents realise they can no longer summon their favourite clan to help them out, and it forces more battles as pieces are pushed together. Again, Gnomes and Wizards isn't here to spend an afternoon on your table, but designed to be snappy, quick, and violent. So it's fun. And it's more chaotic the more players you have as you increase the play arena accordingly, and you have the chance to mess around with the board layout as you get more experience. There are issues here as well though. It's not all magic and garden ornaments. As with anything that rolls with dice, you can be stuck feeling underpowered if you have a catastrophic sense of rolls, even with the chance of rerolls. There are less chance of it happening, of course, but it can still happen. I've issues with the rulebook and how it explains the game. The layout's confusing, and while the actions are well explained, there isn't an obvious setup diagram, component anatomy, or description of the cards. It led me into being confused about the crystal reserve or how the tiles started off when they were laid out, plus a few other rules. The setup for the board is at the end of the rules instead of the beginning. And it made me wonder if this had been blind play tested, or if the designer was sitting 3 feet away ready to explain or interrupt play when something wasn't done right. I know, I'm being picky. But when you're putting this out in front of prospective backers, the smallest confusion can lead to doubt. And that can just lead the game to not being backed. And I'm sure it's something that can be and will be remedied during and post-campaign when the game funds, so while it's a noted concern, I still managed to play the game. I didn't need to contact the designer, but it's still a valid concern. I will be honest though, I just don't like the art. Well, I don't like 30% of the art. I really love all the graphic design elements of the component boards, the tiles, the pieces, they're just so very, very right. I'm getting hints of Vast from Leather Games here. I really like how clean the lines and colours are. I really like the symbols of the clans and how the player boards look. It's clean, it's abstract, I'm totally here for it. I like how the leaders are simple coloured cones and the clans are discs. It just works for me. The components here are some of the best I've seen for a prototype for a Kickstarter. The card art and the rest of the cartoon art, it's not good. And in some ways it really detracts from the table presence. It's like the designer had everything thought out and finalised for the main game and then had a total crisis of confidence in the product and decided to clean and abstract was not going to work. And it's time for quirky. Go look at the Kickstarter video and see how pleasing to the eye the game looks in the first 30 seconds as it zooms around the board. Looks pretty awesome. I feel bad even saying it because I know how expensive decent art can be to be commissioned, but in this case I want less art instead of more. Gnomes and Wizards is a decent, fun skirmish game. There's a huge amount of potential to really grab a lot of people's attention. It's fun, frantic, and only needs a couple of changes to make it shine. I do hope the Gnomes win though. We were provided a preview copy of Gnomes and Wizards in which we made a contribution to the shipping of the game. We were not paid for this preview. Cav and Wire at the time of this article have not appeared on the podcast, but may appear in a future episode. You can visit their site on cavandwire.com, and there will also be a link to the Kickstarter page in the show notes. If you'd like to support the show, consider going to our Patreon at patreon.com/we're-not-wizards and chucking us a buck. It helps to keep the lights on, and it helps to bring us you more of these hopefully interesting reviews. Until the next time, stay safe, roll sixes, make something awful, and goodbye.